Alright, so today we're going to be talking about cards you should be selling before they either go up in price or just because you kind of want to make some money right now. They are at quite a high price point, some of them, so I think you're going to be happy with this if you own these cards. Like around the time of Megatins, it's like we're all buying things that are reprinted, we're trying to stack up on some staples. This year's tins though are a little bit weak. So there's not much stacking up on we can be doing, but you can gather the resources to like invest into something else or maybe pick up some reprints in the next set of reprints, which is going to be the anniversary edition in winter, which is going to be much better as the Megatins. And I'm really not trying to bash them, but I kind of am a little bit. So like sell these cards, make some money, and if you have any of your own ideas, please make sure to share them in the comments down below as well, so other people will know what you are selling and we should be selling, all of us. For the first card, I wanted to talk about Bumbuku. Like literally everyone's talking about Bumbuku at this point. It is like the card was never like, at least in recent memory, it was never extremely cheap. It was always like a couple euros because it only had like the 2 printings. So cards with a little amount of printings are always going to hold their value, obviously. But now the new Pendulum stuff was revealed for the new set post Age of Overlord. So the second major set we have, like the main set we have post Age of Overlord, is going to have this Magispector support. It's really cool, and people are already coming up with combos, and it's just a lot of fun if you're a Pendulum player trying to like come up with cool combos with these new cards. I think they have a lot of potential, but obviously what always happens to the market is people are going to start buying things out and the price is going to increase. So like if you own these copies and you find someone that's like, yes, I want to have Bumbuku right now, it's like around 12 or 15 euros for a single copy, depending on the version that you have. So like it's pretty much free if you're not trying to play Pendulum. And always like around the time of like a really good piece of support, they will probably reprint certain things. They haven't done this with another card we're going to be talking about on this list. But as for the Pendulum stuff, they might reprint it. So it's kind of like free resources to just sell the Bumbukus now if you don't want it. And you can just get it later if they get a reprint or if they drop down in price. So this is the first card, and I already alluded to the second card we're going to be talking about, which is Abomination's Prison. And I said that they didn't give it any kind of reprint, but I'm assuming they might. Unchained is just so hype right now, and the deck is really cool. It seems like it has a whole ton of potential for a couple formats to come if they don't decide to like preemptively hit it. Almost preemptively, like they did with like Super Heavy and Pearly. If this doesn't happen to Unchained, Prison might go even higher. You can either sell it now, make some money because it's like around 30 to almost 40 euros depending on the printing, because again we have 2 printings, but you can do 2 things. You can either sell it, make the money, and then the card gets a reprint and you plus. Or if it doesn't get a reprint, nothing gets hit on the ban list and the card keeps going up, maybe you should be holding off on getting rid of the card and like make more money later. So like I'm just pointing it out. If you have it lying around, or if you have like a ton of extra copies for whatever reason, get rid of it, because like, you know, it's literally around 40 euros. So yeah, I mean, Unchained is just going to be really, really strong, but they might reprint the cards, you know, come like some kind of reprint set, or like they just put it in another product. So you might want to offload these cards. And speaking of 40 euro cards, there's more. So we have Hydrant. Obviously Rescue Ace coming out of the side set, it's always going to hold value. Like we saw it with Labyrinth. There was some punk cards, like the Foxy Tune was quite expensive for some time. Pearly, Runic, pretty sure the Eldritch stuff was like, you know, you remember the time of Cursed Eldland being like quite expensive. But yeah, pretty much anything coming out of the side set is always gonna have some kind of price. But right now with Rescue Ace being very hyped, because it just keeps getting tops and even regional wins, it seems like a really, really cool deck also for moving forward, because they are getting indirect support with Age of Overlord and the Snake Eyes cards. So all in all, this deck is like a really, really nice mid-range contender. You kind of need to pilot it well, but you can be rewarded for good gameplay with the deck. You can play a ton of non-engine as well. So like it seems like it's very, very decent. And now the prices are going up and up and up. So if you maybe invested into this deck when it came out, you can just sell it now for a much, much bigger value than what you paid for it. And speaking of Rescue Ace cards, we also have the Turbulence. Like, these two are the only ones that have some kind of value if you're trying to sell like playsets or something. We have Turbulence and also Hydra, and if you have multiple copies, just get rid of all of them. Or if you have the deck, you can just kind of chill and know that you pretty much plussed because you got it for cheap if you got it on release. So whatever you want to do, just throwing it out there. Hygiene is like around 40 euros, so do with that what you will. But moving on to something else. The next card I wanted to talk about is Curicara. And I keep mentioning Curicara in all my like videos sort of connected to Market Watch and stuff, because it's just so funny to me how they're like, okay, we're not going to reprint Power of the Elements. We are gonna put Marta in the Megatin though, and that's it. Like, is there any other Power of the Elements card that was in the Megatins? If there is, please let me know. I did not go out of my way to check that, but Curicara is most definitely not in there. And it's also kind of funny because the card doesn't really see that much play. Like, it was really, really strong, and the effect is still really decent, but it was just kind of a little better against decks that for a fact are going to activate something during your standby phase, like Pearly and Kashira used to do, or I guess they still do. But right now, with the meta sort of shifting, the card doesn't see as much play anymore because it's not as versatile. But still, like, I still think it's really nice. Some people still play it, and the value is still there if you want to get rid of it, because inevitably Power of the Elements is going to receive a reprint, and at that point the price is going to drastically go down. Get rid of Curicara if you want, if you're not playing it right now. There's another card that I did mention before, which is also the Rage. It's around 11 to 14 euros depending on the copy that you have. So again, on the topic of Unchained, it's gonna be really good. If you don't want the cards, just get rid of it, because probably they are giving, you know, Unchained a reprint sometime soon. So just get rid of the Rage and Prison, and anything else you might want to offload. Also, I went through my bulk yesterday. I found like most of the Unchained core. No Prison, no Rage though, but I did find like a couple Arujas and like some other things. So mainly I have the deck except the money cards. So like, if you find someone that's also missing a couple of these more expensive cards, make sure to sell it to them if they're up for it. So moving on, we have Crossout. I really wanted to talk about Crossout because it kind of baffled me that the card is still like around 13 to 15 euros, or I guess moving from 11 to like 15, somewhere around that mark. But pretty much, yeah, it's not that cheap, and it has 2 printings, and it's also quite useful right now, like Branded, Chimera, Pearly also, and I've seen some Kashira builds with the card. Like, everyone's playing it because like there are certain cards in the meta that really hinder those strategies. So like, if you know you're gonna be hardcore punished by Ash or like Deep Area or something like that, just make sure to get that card. And if you don't want to have it, just sell it to someone that needs it. It is also a staple, so if you have extra copies, I would advise you to sell it. But if you only have like the playset, you probably want to keep it for yourself because it's a very useful card all around. And if you maybe find yourself playing that type of strategy sometime in the future, you probably want to like hold on to the pretty copies because it looks really good. Like the Parallel Secret and also the Ultra versions, both are cool. And the card is probably going to receive a reprint like sometime in the future, but you know, you're going to have to wait for that. So if you have extra copies, get rid of it, and that's it. And as for the next card, another one that I keep talking about is Big Welcome Labyrinth. And I always mention it because pretty much everything from Labyrinth was reprinted, but we knew that Photon Hypernova stuff is not getting a reprint, and we kind of could see this coming, but the Big Welcome is around 20 or something like that euros, and it was only a couple euros when it came out. Like a new card, Photon Hypernova, it wasn't exactly expensive, but now it is going to go up because this always happens to cards when they don't receive a reprint. If you have any extra copies, make sure to get rid of them if someone wants to play Labyrinth right now, because it's still a very, very decent deck. And that's pretty much going to round off today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed, and maybe you own some of these cards so you can get rid of them if you want. And like I said before, if you have any of your own ideas, and if you enjoy me doing these types of videos, please make sure to share all of that in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!